Now, your show, Little Things, is based on a functional adult relationship to a large extent. And from your perspective, what is the role a relationship plays in someone's life, in someone's sense of well being? What is your take on it as a creator and as a person as well?
Um, I guess when we were thinking about the show, the only rule that I had is that let the two have freedom to express themselves. Um, because more and more I felt in my own personal life, at work, in the industry that I find myself in, the people and the closest of friends that I had, that is always some level of hesitance in being yourself, even in the relationships that I've had. And I was just trying to explore what if there is a relationship where two people don't have this whole idea of censorship in their heads. How far can they go? And it more or less just felt like friendship, you know. And so then that became sort of the center point of the show, and in some sense of my life also. And how much can you express yourself, I guess. And more or less, I think for me personally, that's the game when it comes to relationship. And the day that you feel you're not able to express yourself because the other person is not able to express themselves even more, sometimes it throws you off. And so it's more like, for me at least, it's all about just being yourself and having the space to be yourself, or given the space, or creating an environment. Now that craft of the environment is the tricky part. Yeah. So it just came from this space of how do you be yourself.
Right. So we talked about self-expression and freedom being essential. And one thing that stands out to me is when you say, for me personally, which brings me to a part where we have to understand where for every single person, what a healthy, safe relationship constitutes is actually quite different. I think that boils down to partly your early stage development and also partly to your adult expectations. So I was hoping you could talk to that for a bit. What is the importance of expectations? All of us walk in and, unless your last name is Buddha and your first name is Gautam, it's a bit slippery to go in saying that happiness is the lack of desire. But we all have expectations. So and how do they matter to a relationship?
So, like I was talking about attachment styles, and I feel like your expectations from your partners specifically, but also from your other relationships, highly dependent on your attachment styles. So, if you are, someone who's slightly anxious, and this is all on a continuum, what I'm talking about, the anxious and avoidant and all of that. No one's completely anxious or completely avoidant. But if you have slightly more anxious attachment style, you're going to be needing much more validation from your partner, right? So you need to know that they're there at every point when you feel insecure about them, right? If you're an avoidant kind of partner, too much kind of emotional cues from your partner might be, a little too much for you, and you're going to be like, why do you keep calling me, and why do you keep doing this,
Right,
right?
right.
And that you need more instrumental kind of help rather than more emotional kind of help if you're an avoidant partner. So expectations from relationship depends so much on what your emotional and psychological needs are. And the most important thing I think would be to be able to understand those through your relationships and be able to address them. And like Dhruv said, kind of be able to communicate them before the crisis happens, right? Because these attachment styles actually really flare up when you have a crisis in the relationship. So it's important to be able to be aware of them and be able to communicate them, these expectations. And the key, like, of course, is communication.